We have information systems technology that can inform that. Your application is here. This item is missing. So people would benefit from re-looking at that system. Again, a technological improvisation, but it's important because now you have the ability for people to spend either less money or time to go through the process of filing for a license. I'm sorry if I didn't mention this up front. The Secretary of State's two main jobs are business service filings and fees and incorporating businesses, and the second job is election administration. And I spent an inordinate amount of time on that because I think it needs attention. So I spend more of the time where we need it. But as far as how we're doing in the campaign, we're exceeding the expectations of what many would say because we are direct, we talk straight to the issues, to the people. This is an authentic campaign. It's intended to be that way. That's why I campaign and I go around the state and I talk to any group that wants to hear it, regardless of whether they meet ideology. It's not what's in question here. Because the election system serves everybody, so everybody wants to have confidence in it. And at the end of the day, that's the key, is that we are able to fundamentally address shortfalls in the system. So that's what I've been about, and we're doing quite well. I do ask, if you do like and think about what I've said, and you want to look into this campaign a little bit more, we could use volunteers. Yes. We can use some financial contributions. I brought a few signs, I brought a few shirts, $10 or $20. That's how I've been able to raise over $200,000 in 6 weeks. Okay, which is pretty unheard of for somebody coming off the sidelines with really not in the system. But I ask you all, since 1990, how many candidates have we had that have showed up and tried to do this? It's been a rotating system. They come from the federal side, they come back down to the states. Does it serve us? I think this 2026 is a time for us to try some new things. It's a time for us to look at people with ideas, experience, the will, because I think a lot of this has to do with the will. Your ability and will to do the things that need to be done. And when you don't come from within the system, when you're not beholden to the person who is your peer or counterpart, you're so much more free and open to just speak what needs to be said and done. And to be honest with you, the easiest thing to do is to tell the truth. The hardest thing to do is to obscure the truth, right? And have to try to divert and pivot. So you're not going to hear that from me. And when the opportunity and the time arises, it's never a question of do we have a plan? Do we know what we want to do for Ohio? We know exactly what we want to do for Ohio. The question is, can we get our name ID up? Can we get enough people to know about the candidacy of, I don't talk about myself in the third term, but I'll do it right now, Marcell Strbich. So that's the key, Marcell Strbich. Getting people, talk to your friends, talk to your family. And I will do my utmost to get around the state, to talk to people, make inroads, speak to anyone. I need more than your vote, though. Your vote gets me about a third of our electorate. I need to reach the middle third. And the way to do that is I need to raise money. So that's the byproduct. Unfortunately, our political system has become all about that. It's a regrettable thing, but until we ever get to a campaign finance reform approach that takes us back to where that is somewhat what it has become. But you should know that 2026 is a time for hope. It's a time that when I become the Secretary of State and I work, we will address and finalize and end the issue of non-citizen registration voting. We will put that to rest, and we will ensure that every single person that gets on is fully eligible, fully legitimate. We'll continue to clean the voter rolls. We will have full 100% voter ID. I will institute pre-printed, hand-markable paper ballots. So you do not need to use electronic ballot marking device as the primary method of casting. That is costing our state tens of millions of dollars, and there is a very big transparency trust deficit with those systems. And I can tell you from a security standpoint, and a person with that background, there is a huge security deficit in terms of the way those systems are designed. They cannot keep up with a threat from China or from these others that have already penetrated routers, telecommunications networks. The level of dependency of computerized systems for elections is too much. And we have not adjusted it because of entrenched interest, but with President Trump in office, who has specifically said that he does want to get away from QR codes and barcodes as a way to record our votes. Right. He has explicitly given direction to say to decertify these ballot marking devices by September of 2025. We need to act if we are truly supporting this president's policies We need to act on this president's call at the state level, and we have nothing stopping us other than having a Secretary of State with the will to do that and to direct the Board of Elections to proceed in that direction. We would save a ton of money. We have a $65 million budget. We were at $18 million budget with John Husted. We grew our budget 325%. That is not prudent fiscal governance. That is something that I would immediately look to reduce that burden by going to pre-printed, hand-markable paper ballots. We have 28 days in person. How do you all feel about a same-day in-person voting?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Feel that way? Okay. All right, very good. So right now, what that would take is we would have to rewrite law, but there are a number of states that have less for in-person, whether they be 14 days, which some would advocate for right now, currently in Ohio. Some, like Michigan, were 7 days, but they moved it up to 14. Well, President Trump has said, let's go same day in person. So what does that mean for people who can't get to the polling locations? Like, it's like the property tax debate, right? So you're gonna take away a property tax, how are you gonna pay for the schools? Legitimate question, by the way. That is a legitimate question. So how would I account for that if you apply that same approach? What I would say is, we're gonna have valid excuse, mail-in ballots 28 days prior for those that have a reason because they're out of precinct, they're confined or disabled, they're poll workers, they're surgeons working in an ER. We're going back to restoring something that worked for us that we never needed to change. We never needed to change that in the first place, but we allowed our fear to take over our reason at that time. And now we've all been woken up to it. We're based, if that's the term you want to use. We're based on changes that need to be made. All of that is within the realm of possible. You will not find those positions and those start terms by anybody else that's in this race. And I invite you to this campaign. I invite you to be a part of this because this is a movement that we can only do now. It's now or never. After President Trump leaves office, this will not be another opportunity. So we did our job and we put him in office because we believe that there are things that he is going to do that is going to lead. And the same will apply to Vivek Ramaswamy. You will come into office under that confidence that there will be the necessary changes. Do not allow your election systems to stay as is. Press your candidates on those changes because winning is not just getting your candidate to win. Winning is executing the policy of the candidate that you got to win. You step on the gas pedal now knowing that we're going to have a great 4 years, 8 years, 16 years. We start thinking for the future of our families. And that, sum it up, as I finish this up, to sum it up, that's what it's all about. It's about my 2-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, your sons, your daughters, your cousins, your moms, your dads. This is about turning over a better country and a system we can have confidence in. And it's all within our reach. And I hope today you were able to understand a little bit more about my background, my competence, my credibility, my character. I'm doing this not because I have to, not because I want a political career. I am doing this because I love and believe in this state, and I know that I am the right person in this race because of my passion, conviction, knowledge to be the person to bring these type of changes. Thank you both. Thank you all very much for listening to me and coming out to this wonderful environment. I'll turn it over to Dennis for questions. And if you wouldn't mind, introduce yourself to my friend and awesome volunteer, Lizzie Margolius. She will help you if you want to buy or sign up to get me on the ballot. She has a petition for that.
Wow.
Volunteer and a few other things here. So please stop and talk. And I can do questions now if you want.
Right, just go ahead.
Okay.
Take a few questions.
Yes, sir. Mark.